Hello there, everyone. Episode 19 of Smarks for Attitude. It's been a while, but you know, like bad ecstasy, we're gonna drop two at the same time, and hopefully it picks up.
How long have you been sitting on that one for?
I haven't been sitting on it. How's that a gag? How's that for a off?
Like ecstasy, we're gonna hit two at once and hope for the best.
Yes. Anyway, barring shit jokes, so episode 19 we'll talk about Dominion, New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's pretty much I suppose it's like their SummerSlam, their second biggest show of the year. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
Then again, I suppose the G1 finals are probably up there as well. But anyway, we're going to do Dominion in this episode, and then we'll hit you up with episode 20 very soon, which will cover the weekend just gone's WWE action. So Takeover Chicago 2 and Money in the Bank, which is like replaced Survivor Series now as one of the top four, I suppose you could say, isn't it?
Yeah, in terms of importance, Survivor Series is, as much as they're trying to spin it now, is like because of the brand versus brand action,
which I hate. But yeah,
I know, same issue we would have had. Did we cover Survivor Series last year? Or...
Yes. Oh no, we did a compacted
cover.
thing, yeah, because I think one of us was away.
Yeah, no, you were sick. That was why.
That's why my face stopped working. Oh, yeah.
That's right. We put the podcast on hold so you could recover from it. Unlike the WWE, where it's like, we'll hire Michael Cole and fuck you off.
Well, yeah, there you go.
But anyway, yes, I agree. It's one of the top four. But moving on to New Japan.
Well, just before we move on to Dominion, it's some sad news today in that Leon Big Van Vader White has died age 63, I believe, from complications of heart issues. I think he might have had pneumonia from his heart surgeries. And I think he passed away today. His son tweeted on his Twitter account with some pictures and saying that he lost his battle. And yeah, Vader has died. What are your memories of Vader, Harry?
I'm going to be brutally honest. The first time I saw Vader was when he made his comeback in the Inferno match with Undertaker and Kane at Unforgiven 1998.
Yeah, well, I started watching wrestling properly in that I started following WWF in 1996. So Royal Rumble 96, I was hooked to the whole, HBK, the Click, the dream of winning the championship, all that bollocks. Remember Jose Lothario and all that. And so my first real dose of Vader it was a 96 Rumble where he took out Monsoon, wasn't it? Because he signed and then they did the angle that he was suspended because he was injured, or was it he had to finish up? Yeah.
He said he was happy to sign, but he told them in advance that he needed to have surgery, and they were like, okay, we'll work an angle on your debut.
Yeah, and then obviously that year he ended up in a feud with Shawn Michaels. Well, he was part of the Jim Cornette feud with Michaels when Cornette basically just kept serving up people to try and take the belt off of Michaels. And SummerSlam 96 when he was, well, infamously supposed to win either at SummerSlam 96 or Survivor Series 96, which
Series.
Yeah, it was, so he was supposed to lose or be DQ'd at SummerSlam and then win the belt at Survivor Series, but Shawn put the kibosh on it because Shawn was basically running the company at the time.
He complained that Vader was stiff, which is a bit of an understatement because part of Vader's appeal was the fact that he came from Japan and was a hard-hitting, big fucking guy.
Well, yeah.
Shawn wasn't used to that, and he kind of threw a fucking massive hissy fit about it. And then Vader got replaced from the Survivor Series match with Psycho Sid,
who did quite a good job at it was in Smarky MSG, wasn't it? So he got cheered as a heel, and it was a great match that actually.
I was going to say, because I watched the 96, I've mentioned this before, 96 compilation, and Vader was featured on it, and it was probably the first time I saw him properly wrestle, and it was very impressive, and it's one of those things where I've always wanted to catch up on Vader's WCW run with Sting.
Well, this was, I was just going to get to that actually, because well, I mean, so obviously 96 is I was 6 or 7 or 8, whatever I was, can't remember.
9.
I saw him bollocks. I saw him then, and I thought he was cool. I think after his '96 run, he had a little feud with, wasn't he? Was he Kane's first feud when Kane started wrestling?
Yeah, the match at No Way Out just before WrestleMania. It was basically the filler feud between Taker disappearing for a month, and I remember Kane whacks him over the head with like a wrench pipe, and it fractures his eye socket.
That's the one. And there's also the thing after the match when he loses and he gets the interview, doesn't he? He goes, Vader, tell me about the match. He goes, I guess I'm just a useless piece of shit, or something like that.
That's from where the fuck is that? That's the follow-up match, which is Mask versus Mask Over the Edge '98, and that's where he comes up and he's like, I'm just a big piece of shit, fat piece of shit, and like, well, we're sorry about the language.
The one thing we never really got over here in England was WCW. We just had that crappy Saturday morning show after the Warner Brothers thing. Remember that? It's not What's Up, Doc?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, we used to get the rotating ring. Remember, was it Saturday Night Main Event or whatever? No, what was it called?
Oh, no, I don't.
Main Event. WCW Main Event.
I don't remember it, man. Sorry, I don't.
Yeah. So having that, and obviously since the advent of the network as well, you can go back and watch all this WCW stuff. And '92, was it the series of matches he had with Sting in '92, '93? They're just fantastic. And also the Cactus Jack stuff. When he basically, I think those matches are the matches where he takes a good decade off of Mick Foley's life.
Is that the one where he has amnesia?
I think that might have been a part of the feud, but these are the matches where he used to get power bombed on concrete, basically, by Vader.
I think that is part of it. But again, I've not caught up on Vader stuff in WCW, but I have read about it because of Death of WCW. They talk extensively about him. He was a massive import from Japan, and he was treated like the biggest thing ever in wrestling, like an unstoppable monster. And it's such a sad contrast to what he should have accomplished in the WWF, but powers to be prevented it from happening. He's a big what if of what could have happened
in WWE for sure. But I mean, if you go back and watch those WCW stuff, like when he won the belt and defended it a few times. I mean, his career in WCW came to an end because Hogan joined, and Hogan needed a big monster to defeat. He beat him a few times, and I think that was when Vader was like, "Well, fuck this, I'm out of here."
I think he was very briefly in the Dungeon of Doom.
Oh no, he was, yeah. But which was a stable designed for Hogan to beat constantly and get over. I think that early WCW stuff is really quite great. He's very athletic. I think he's like 400 pounds, really athletic, just a really great monster wrestler to watch.
He's definitely one of the most athletic, or he was one of the most athletic big men ever to hit wrestling. There's no understating him. The man was able to perform moonsaults, which is, back in the 80s and very early 90s was unheard of at the time. He was literally like an unstoppable force. And it was like, how the fuck can you wrestle this guy? He'll just outpower you. And then to top it off, he can literally fly if he needs to.
So yeah, his Japan stuff is obviously a thing of legend as well, because Gaijin, I think he made it big in the, I could be wrong on this, I might need to do some more research, but obviously he was big in All Japan because of the the way the Gaijins were booked in All Japan, like Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody, and quite big monster types. And I think him and Hansen might have come to blows a few times in All Japan. That could be wrong. He's in New Japan, and I think he was in Noah a bit as well. In fact, I think he's one of the very few that have held the IWGP, GHC, and Triple Crown. So the Noah, All Japan, and New Japan World title, heavyweight title, and he was the WCW heavyweight champion as well. No, he was great. It's a bit sad to hear he's died in the way he has. He was over here in London a couple of years ago, because remember the whole Ricochet and Osprey thing when he started going off on Osprey on Twitter, and it ended up being worked into a match at Rev Pro at York Hall.
Yes, I do remember that, because a lot of people were giving him shit over it, and it did culminate, and he got a payday out of it. So fair fucks to him. He worked people into getting something out of it.
It's on YouTube. Find Osprey talking about how it all transpired. Basically, Osprey was supposed to go over him, and on the day of it, he turns up in Bethnal Green, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm going over," and it's like, "What?" It's like, "Well, if I don't go over, I'm not." He basically he goes over Will Ospreay,
and then
and
disappears. Then
and it disappears. Yeah, it's a great story. Ospreay tells it really well.
I was going to say, to his credit though, Ospreay has wished condolences. So
Of course he has.
I know
Of course
he could have been. He could have been spiteful, but Will is a top hack. So
Yes, so there you go. Big Van Vader. Rest in peace.
yes, absolutely, he will be missed. He's had a very rough few years at the end, and if it's any consolation, at least now he's at peace, and his legacy will always be his outstanding career.
Yeah, good point. Right, so let's get to Dominion at the Osaka-jo Hall. Last year's Dominion, Harry, was possibly one of the best events one of the best events I'd certainly watched, and I think you've heaped that kind of praise on it as well.
Yeah.
Just so how did this year's edition? How did that leave you?
I'll be brutally honest, I thought it was a very solid and consistent show, but only the final 3 matches.
It's very top. It's very top heavy, isn't it?
Yes. Its final 3 matches were absolutely outstanding, and even the IWGP Tag Team match was good as well.
I'd say those 4 is it an 8 match or 7 match card? Those 4 matches, the whole card is built around those matches. If that makes sense.
Yes,
that's how it felt to me.
I think last year's show was more consistent in terms of quality. I thought it was more outstanding. However, this particular card, nothing wrong with it at all. It's solid throughout. The final match, however, is probably the greatest match in wrestling history.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get to that because, as I said, I don't think many of these matches have an awful lot of talking points, do they?
No, it's typical New Japan where it's just a load of tag team matches. But we'll go through them quickly.
It's true. Right. Well, let's do it to it. So, Dominion, 12,000 in attendance. It's I believe the second year in a row that they've sold out the J Hall, which is a fairly big venue for New Japan.
What would Vince say that would be?
75,000.
That was a good impression.
It wasn't. That was more of a.
You caught me off guard. Then that was good.
That was more like that Batman impression. But anyway,
swear to me, Sean.
Swear to me. Did you watch the start of the card when the new CEO speaks?
No, I didn't. I just watched I watched the main show. I didn't watch anything prior to it.
So yeah, they've got a new CEO, the Dutch guy who's lived in Japan.
About to say he's Dutch, isn't he?
Yeah, so he came out and they introduced him. He did like a video package. It was quite cool, actually.
Is he the first non-Japanese person to own the company?
I think he's the first Gaijin CEO. Yes.
I was going to say, would we call him a Gaijin? Because I know that applies to wrestlers, but did he mention what he's...
Gaijin applies to anyone not Japanese, basically.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was a wrestling term.
No.
Okay, I'm not that much of a weeaboo. I don't know. Did he mention what... I was going to say, did he mention what he wanted to do with New Japan? Or was it just...
Yeah, it's very much a we're going global kind of message, which I think this card does reflect.
Yeah, it was the amount of non-Japanese stars on it. It's very telling. Not to mention title changes as well. There seems to be quite a few of them which are non-Japanese wrestlers who have won titles on it.
Yeah, no, he spoke in Japanese and English, basically just saying that he's excited to be there, big wrestling fan, and, we're taking over, that kind of feeling. But yeah, that led to the start of the card. So, yeah, as I said, some of these matches they're very forgettable. But we opened with Suzuki-Gun, El Desperado, and Kanemaru against Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, accompanied by Rocky Romero for the IWGP Junior Tag titles. This wasn't a terrible match, but yeah, it was like 9 minutes long. Everyone got in their spots. Sho and Yo are kind of a really good team, actually. Don't know if you saw any of the Battle of the Super Juniors, but they both had really good showings as singles.
I didn't, but for this particular match, I thought, despite the fact Suzuki-Gun retained, and it was quite sneaky how they won anyway,
yeah,
Roppongi 3K looked really strong, and I thought this was more of a showcase just to show how solid the team still is, because we have seen them wrestle previously against the Bucks.
Yeah, which was really good as well, yeah.
Yeah, which was good. Again, I thought it was more of a showcase for Roppongi 3K as opposed to Suzuki-Gun, but it was a solid match, so no complaints about it.
Yeah, I agree. And as you said, there were shenanigans in the match. Kanemaru hit one of Shell or Yo, I don't remember which one, with a whiskey bottle, and Desperado got the win with a roll-up. 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Wasn't a bad opener, but I got the pace of the match and the quickness of the match. That's what I got. I did get an early feeling that we would see quite a lot of short matches to start this card.
Obviously, because they were preparing for the main event, which they gave plenty of time.
Yeah, Christ, we'll get to that, boy. Don't worry. This was followed by Juice Robinson and David Finlay against Switchblade, also known as Jay White, and Yoshihashi. I believe this is Taguchi Japan stable against Chaos, because everything's stable based in New Japan, isn't it? I always forget the stables, but there you go. Juice Robinson, since leaving WWE, has got very good actually, but
he's fantastic, isn't he?
Personality wise, Christ, he had quite a good person. Is it CJ Parker?
Yeah, NXT? He was the. I want to say he was like a hippie thing.
He was like a protester. He's the guy. He's the one who broke Kevin Owens' nose on his first night in NXT, isn't he?
Yeah, but he did that awesome image where Owens just looks like fucking monstrous in that first match. I think that did kind of cement him to non-watchers. But Robinson has just come leaps and bounds since going to Japan. It's probably the best career decision someone from NXT has made, apart from, I was going to say Cody, but that's not NXT. But Robinson's been absolutely fantastic. And again, much like the last match, this was a showcase for himself.
Yeah, I was going to say this match was built. This match was made for him, really, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, obviously the new US title was not defended on this show because Switchblade's here, but this was literally just a storyline match just to get that match built up, which will be Robinson and White having a fight over the belt, obviously.
Yeah, but I believe that has been confirmed for the Cow Palace.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Makes sense. I think Robinson will be the clear favourite for the crowd in that match. Again, Switchblade looked good in this match. I had my criticisms with his match against Tanahashi back at Wrestle Kingdom. I thought that was probably the only dud match on there, and I did put it mainly down to him. But he was decent here, to be fair. He seems to be getting better.
I think I do rate him. I've got a feeling that a feud with Okada is in his future, because the way he joined Chaos, but he kind of joined Chaos in a kind of, well, I'm joining Chaos, but I'm only joining Chaos because it will get me at the point where I can, challenge Okada and stuff like that. So I wonder if an easy booking decision for them to get White over and keep Okada busy, because it's only a matter of time, really, in the next 6 to 18 months, whether Okada goes for the title again, is maybe if they was to do some kind of Switchblade Okada battle for the leadership of Chaos, but
would make sense, because does Switchblade have the only major title, or the most major title now in that group?
I believe he's the only champion. Well, no, Goto recently reclaimed the belt he lost on this show, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I guess he could. Yeah, they had to keep him busy as well. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'd like to see those two have a match.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if White can hang with him, really. Or I suppose the other way around is if Okada can get like a 4-5-star match out of him. That would be really interesting.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, so Juice and Finlay won this match with 7 minutes, 26 seconds. Pinfall after a pulp friction. So, as Harry said, setting up Robinson against Switchblade. I do think that has been confirmed, but might not. Might be one of the shows beforehand. So, after this, we had, and it was more faction warfare, or what was the thing that WWE did? What was that era?
97 Survivor Series. Gang warfare? No.
Gang warfare, that's it. Or whatever it was. When it was all the disciples against people and all that.
It was literally completely forgotten because that happened to take place at the same show as the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, yeah, Suzuki-Gun, Minoru Suzuki, and Zack Sabre Jr., our boy, against Ishii and Toriyano. Suzuki-Gun against Chaos. Suzuki-Gun, obviously, are the Rev Pro British Tag Champions, so they get a nice name drop quite a few times actually on this card. And this match, Rev Pro have managed to get a match on one of their cards in Altrincham outside of Manchester. Some build on a New Japan card.
I was literally about to say this. Much like the previous match, this match was pretty much just set up per Suzuki and Ishii's match in Manchester, and it was a fucking good way to set it up. I'm so excited to see these two have a match for the championship.
When this match was on, Twitter was just blowing up because it was like, "Oh my god, Suzuki and Ishii, Suzuki and Ishii." And I'm guilty of that as well. But yeah, this match was pretty decent actually. They're all great workers plus Yano, but Yano makes up for it with fantastic comedy wrestling.
It's weird because three of these guys in this match are completely serious, which is Suzuki, Sabre, and Ishii.
Very
But
serious, yeah.
yeah, very serious. But you got Yano taking the piss, and he's like the nice, he's like the nice bit of comedic break you need in it. And it made me laugh as well because Kelly and Callis point out that I didn't know this because again, don't know anything really much about New Japan. Yano has beaten Suzuki several times, which just blows my mind about it. It's like this guy has beat him.
A couple of them in G1s as well, where he's basically cost him either a final appearance or like a chance at making the final.
That's mad. Obviously, again, Suzuki must like him a lot.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's a politicker, if that's what you mean.
No, of course not. No, Suzuki knows his role, which is what makes him infinitely more enjoyable than Brock as such. Because even from like an outsider's perspective, one, he's hard hitting, and two, he's a wrestler as such.
I always get a kick out of Don Callis being scared of Suzuki once he's.
Can you tell me where he is, just to make sure he's not near the table?
So when his music comes on, and what is it? Kevin Kelly's like, one of the best entrance songs in wrestling, and Don Callis is like, one of the most terrifying songs in wrestling.
They're fantastic. We should really mention this. Callis and Kelly, they're great on commentary.
So good. I mean, if you just watch a lot of WWE like we tend to do, minus the NXT, which I tend to find quite good, you watch these two guys, and it's just. Minus a couple of like throwaway or corny lines. I mean, obviously, one thing I find both annoying and quite endearing of Kevin Kelly is when he tries to do the finishes in a Japanese style. So when he goes Rainmaker or Destino. No, I like it
because I like it. Yeah,
I do like it, but I do find it a tad cringe. But again, endearing. So
I like it. I mean. Kelly, I've got absolutely no problems with, and I think he's fantastic. Callis is a good heel commentator, but I think it does suit the product. It would not work in WWE, but here it does work. It gives the they know how to tell a story, and it gives the matches a bit of character in terms of adding those little inflictions.
I always forget. Well, I always like isn't Don Callis? Isn't he TNA now?
Yeah. Impact, you mean?
Oh yeah, sorry. And I always forget. That wasn't he one of the. He's the strong rumor for the higher power, isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Him and Jake the Snake Roberts.
And then another one was Christopher Daniels, I believe.
And yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
But I always tend to think that he was probably the one apart from Vince. But there you go. Yeah, so as I said earlier, Rev Pro have got this match involves the tag team champions and the world champion or British champion of Rev Pro, and that plays a part into the match later. Loads of comedy shtick from Yano in his entrance, which is always fun. Ishii and Suzuki getting great heat off of each other, just smashing the shit out of each other to start it.
Fucking potato factory between these two. Jesus.
A lot of Ishii, both of them actually. Having seen them both a lot over here in the last year, a lot of their matches just tend to have like kind of both guys rooted to the spot in the middle of the ring, and then it's just elbow, punch, punch. A serious, right lad, let's do it. Come on, hit me. I'll hit you.
But it works.
It does. That's just like you'd think it sounds boring, but it's not. It's like when like Ishii was against Keith Lee a couple weeks ago, and they did that, and it's just you're just watching, you're just like fucking brilliant.
It's because the spectacle, because obviously wrestling is predetermined and they're trying to keep each other safe, but then you give these little instances where these two guys literally clamp the fuck out of each other. Obviously, they hold back a little bit, because if they hit each other at full force, they're probably going to kill each other. But it's just the spectacle of watching it. You can see, like, there's, them take the impact of the blows and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very good to watch.
Yeah, so the story of this match really is that Ishii and Suzuki beat each other up, and Zack hurts people with submissions. In a way, it's a little bit predictable, but again, these matches are quite short, and just there to fill time. Well, they're not there to fill
This
time,
is
but
this is again like last match. It's to build up another match that's got to take place.
the finish. Well, so Suzuki-Gun win via submission, 8 minutes 42, and then that's when the Ishii and Suzuki after match shenanigans kicks off big time. Usual stuff actually from Suzuki in that he starts beating up young lions and starts picking up barricades and throwing quite dangerous metal objects around in the crowd, which, there aren't many wrestlers where you'd actually be happy to be hit by him if you remember the crowd.
Be happy and then be like, fuck, I'm really in pain there.
Yeah, you kind of take the pain and then think, oh wow, I just got hit by Minoru Suzuki. I love that, that kind of thing. That's the kind of aura he gives off. Lucky Harry and Reese. This match has actually led to Ishii and Suzuki singles match, probably the main event of the Strong Style Evolved event that we're going to.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Oh,
fucking great. Just for entrances, anyway.
oh well,
So you
yeah.
could have a 2-minute fight in the ring and then settle it with like a 1-2-3, but just to sing along with Suzuki's theme.
I can see this match being just fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And ultimately, again, this is what the match is for. It's just to build up this feud. So fair fucks to RevPro for getting something out of it, as you've already pointed out. But the match was decent. It was good to see Zack get the win. Typical submission. I say typical, but it's just the way we've seen him do it so many times now. It's like it's second nature, and I still feel like with Zack, they are building him up for bigger things.
I do hope so. I think he's got that kind of, as you said earlier, in the way New Japan is presented in a kind of sporty shoot kind of way. He has that wrestling style which makes him credible.
Exactly that. Yeah, and if as New Japan is portrayed as a sport as such, he is a credible threat to future champions. So hopefully.
New Japan doesn't get the whole he's too small to win the New Japan Cup and he's not a legitimate. Like how people talk about Finn. When it was rumored that Finn Balor would go up against Brock Lesnar, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh no, Vince has pulled the plug because he doesn't think it's a credible opponent. It's like that's just you don't get that in New Japan. You just get they build people up in a manner where you think that the way that they built Okada and Zack Sabre Jr. at Sakura Genesis, you kind of thought, well, Zack could tap him out, just in the way that they do their matches. It could happen. So, yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is in the absolute best place for him in terms of the higher up promotions. He's in an absolute brilliant spot.
WWE, he would just be floundering on 205 Live. That's the bottom line.
He's absolutely killing it as well. He's just an absolute. I think he's the best British wrestler out there. And I think he's one of the best wrestlers out. I mean, he is the best technical wrestler in the world. I mean, is it...
in terms of submissions, he's probably one of the absolute best. I think with British wrestlers, it's a bit more of a touchier subject because it depends on what you're after. Because we can go to some of the takeover builds and talk about, Dunn, and obviously you've got Zach Gibson.
No, you're right. That's a good point. But I mean, in my opinion, he's the best British wrestler. But I agree with your point. Yeah, I mean, let's move on. Otherwise, I'm going to be...
We're all day talking about Suzuki and Ishii. Bottom line, we will be covering their match at Rev Pro, and it's going to be great, hopefully.
Yeah, and if I keep going, I'll just keep rubbing one out over Zack Sabre, who we're also seeing at that event in a singles match.
Don't tell him that. Fuck him. He'll just completely blank you out and go like that.
Against Okada.
It's a fucking weird blank. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's it is them two.
Zack Sabre and Okada again. They had a great match. They've already had a great match this year.
Spooge McDuck.
Right, all right, let's move on. So, next match was Hiroki Goto defending his never openweight title against Elgin and Taichi. Yes, Taichi, three-way match. This was all right. This match, I'll be honest with you, it's one of the only matches on the card where I did slightly drift off a little bit or just kind of lost focus.
It was decent. That's what I pretty much
Yeah, it
thought of
wasn't
it.
bad.
Yeah, nothing truly spectacular. Nothing clumsy either. Elgin won, but then lost the title immediately after.
8
Which
days later, I believe.
I don't understand that at all. It's a bit
Back
weird.
to Goto. Yeah.
Why? I don't get why would they change it?
Oh, God knows. But the story of the match is basically everyone. Well, I'll speak for myself, but I'm guessing everyone kind of wants to see Goto and Elgin smash each other, but Taichi keeps jumping in and ruining the match. Comes in, gets heat, gets chucked out. They have a little tussle, bit of a hoss battle, I suppose, as you could call it. Yeah, Elgin. I mean, if you ignore all of his outside of wrestling stuff, is a great wrestler. I quite like watching him wrestle. Very nimble and athletic for a huge guy. He's absolutely humongous.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's got quite a cool move set. Got some pretty big wins in New Japan over some very. I mean, he's beaten Kenny quite a few times. I think he's had runs with the IC belt and a couple of other titles. Yeah, so he wins the match after I think he chucks Goto out the ring, grabs Taichi, gives him an Elgin bomb, pinfall win after 13 minutes 46 seconds. Wasn't terrible. The actual the last 2 or 3 minutes as they go home was actually quite good.
Typical crescendo booking, isn't it? So again, it's like nothing really happens, but then final couple of moments are actually very good. But again, there's nothing wrong with this match as such. It was just more of the aftermath. Again, Elgin winning the title and then losing it a week later. It's just quite strange for New Japan, from what I've seen anyway. But armless, probably the worst match in this card. Although this and another one, I'll get to it though.
We'll move on to a great match. So Lij, Evil and Sonada defending their IWGP Tag Team Championship against the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson. Going, I think this is their first attempt at going for the heavyweight tag belts.
I think so. They made a big deal of it because obviously they said they were done being the junior tag team champions and they wanted to move up.
Which they've held something ridiculous like 9 times or something, or 7 times or whatever it is.
Like Jericho with the Intercontinental title, or Miz now with the Intercontinental title.
We'll get to that as well. But yeah, on a weird trivia note, and it's not even that interesting, the referee of this match and one of the previous matches, Tiger Hattori, he's like the guy who looks after New Japan's talent when they go abroad. So if they get booked by like a Rev Pro or OTT, he's the guy who does it, who sorts it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and he's a referee is he referee full time at New Japan?
Not full time, no. I've met him a few times at a Rev Pro show. He's a nice guy.
Is it possibly because he speaks English? It's easier for them to communicate these spots between teams.
Maybe. Never thought about that. But he might be like the middleman, yeah. But yeah, this match was excellent.
Yeah, this was one of the, I said 3, but there was 4 very good matches on this. This was one of them. Again, I always point to that because I feel terrible about saying it to begin with. I was not really much of a Young Bucks fan prior to Dominion last year. I always thought they were a bit like spot monkeys.
I'm up and down with them myself, but yeah, I mean, I can't deny that they're great and that they do very well.
Yeah, themselves. I think New Japan, I think they might just keep them reined down. I have seen them on at certain indie shows where it's just like it's basically them just like fucking about for 10 minutes, and it's good for spectacle. But in terms of psychology, as Cornette would say, there is none.
When I saw them at Rev Pro last December, I believe, it really put me off them for a long time. The way,
you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
That's a similar situation to myself. New Japan, however, they seem to be quite solid, especially if they're being filmed. This match I thought was quick. It didn't flow as well as previous matches that they've had, but I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I think that when you see juniors going into a heavyweight style in New Japan, you definitely see a change in style, and like they kind of slow it down and it gets a bit more impactful. So it's like when you saw when Okada and Will Ospreay had that match a couple months ago at the anniversary show. Obviously, Ospreay did much more heavyweight kind of style against Okada, and he slows it down, a bit more impactful, a bit more heavyweight. And I think these guys are more than proved that they can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think it was. I was shocked that this was only their first ever attempt at the heavyweight as such tag team championship. I thought New Japan would have pushed them much quicker into this division. But
Yeah,
fair play to them. I mean, again, they still pull off their massive moves. I mean, they won with more bang for your buck, for fuck's sake, which is like
it is
still
a
one of the most.
great. That is a
Yeah,
great move.
it's what pisses me off. It's like you wanna hate them because they literally are just like taking the piss. But on the other hand, it's like Jesus Christ, they are fucking really good with spectacle.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned it a minute ago about psychology. I think in New Japan, you're right. I think they get I think they get their silliness reined in, and they
Hmm.
actually do that. So obviously, I mean, in a lot of promotions over the last maybe even a year, there's this whole thing where who is it? Is it Matt? So Matt's got the back injury, right?
Hmm.
So he sells the back quite early on. So it's like you're telling the story that Matt's handicapped.
I was going to say
Uh,
because the whole match
yeah,
they were in peril
yeah,
and did have a significant injury.
and then Nick obviously wants so they build to the first hot tag of the match, and that's when Matt gets Nick in. Nick Jackson cleans house, but then kicks the ring post. So he's then selling that he's basically got a broken foot for most of
Hmm.
the match. So you got both of them selling injuries. Evil and Sonada then take control of the match. The middle part of the match was very, they took control and both Bucks are injured, and that's the story. I mean, there's a spot when Nick tries to do the super kick and he can't do it with his injured foot, or it hurts him more than it hurts Evil,
Hmm.
which is a cool spot. Yeah, there were some good spots in this actually. There was a Tower of Doom spot, which is always fun. They go for the Indie Taker a few times. They get their sharpshooters cut off. Sonada puts on his skull end submission quite a few times. Actually, there was a good bit when Matt has a sharpshooter on Evil, and Sonada comes up and then puts Matt in the skull end, which was quite a good little spot there. And that's Nick saved that, I do believe. I think he drop kicked Sonada. It was quite a
Hmm.
very athletic thing. Yeah, they go for the Indie Taker a few times. I think Lij even hit them with one. Magic Killer from Evil and Sonada, which Nick had to make the save. Everything is Evil got hit. I know that actually there was he didn't hit. I don't think he hit an Everything is Evil, did he? Because it was that was another part of the match. The story was he was trying to
Yes.
hit that.
Yeah.
They put him. They get Evil into the backslide for a close two, which was a really close call. More skull ends. He goes for his Muto moonsault, which he misses. And I think that's when so that's the end. That's the finish. He goes for the Muto moonsault, misses. There's a spear, then super kick party, more bang for your buck, and the Young Bucks win their first IWGP tag title. 15 minutes and 3 seconds of a pinfall. This was really good.
Yeah, no major complaints with it. Such the only thing I had really was the after match, which not to sound like Cornette, but it was like they went through this entire match where they were like in complete peril and both guys were injured, but they didn't really sell the injuries as such. They kind of like walked up the ramp and had a bit of a talk. They had a little bit, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was just kind of took it away from them. That might be just me nitpicking, but regardless, the match itself was very well booked and had some very crisp spots in it. So again, I'm spending the entire year repenting for dare saying the Young Bucks. Not really a fan of them, but I've thus far had no major complaints with them. So thumbs up for me. This was a good match.
There was one thing after the match where the Young Bucks informed Don Callis that he's all in,
Oh yeah, they said he's going to be one of the commentators for the show.
which I suppose confirms that it's going to be streamed. So
Well,
let's
it'll
say to
actually
look
be on
forward to.
Twitch. Surely it's on Twitch.
No, what if they charged $5 or $10 a pop for a live stream pay per view?
That's true.
More
But
money.
then, well, then again, I don't know what people value as such because again, you pay £10 or $10 and you get the WWE network entirely.
I know,
People
but
people are more greedy now in terms of what they expect for their money. They want more bang for their buck.
good segue.
Yeah, you've been saying
Um,
that for 2 minutes.
right, so need a bit of a piss break because this is when we're starting to get into the bloody final stretch here in terms of this card and
Again,
all
I want
these
to point out as well, like last year, this show was fucking. How long was it? It was about
all in over 4 hours.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it. To be fair, it weren't. If this was a WWE show with this kind of card, I would have probably like been clawing at my fucking eyeballs and like taking Pro Plus to get for it. This show flowed like perfectly.
No, I agree. Yeah, so we had that match. This was followed by Bullet Club, comprising of Marty Scurll, Cody, and Hangman Page against Rey Mysterio Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Yushin Thunder Liger.
Who is taking the pinfall in this match, Reese?
Gee whiz, I wonder who.
It's fucking viewable from space as to who's going to be taking it. I love Liger, but Jesus Christ, it was so fucking obvious.
Oh, this is Mysterio's New Japan debut, which is a shame because he was supposed to go up against Liger at Strong Style Evolved.
That's right, yeah, because Liger is one of his inspirations, if I remember, in terms of his style. It's weird to think did they not wrestle in WCW?
I think they did, yeah.
Would have been a nice return bout, although both are much older and in Ray's case, not as good knees anymore.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a tear though, isn't he? In terms of
he's much better. He's much better now without that full-time WWE schedule, which we mentioned at Greatest Royal Rumble as well. This match was this is probably this was the worst. This was like a house show match. This was definitely the odd one of the card. It was basically this is a special attraction match and nothing more. There was no real stakes in it. It was again obvious as to who was taking the pinfall loss. Tanahashi, bit of a shame that he didn't really have a lot to do. What's his do we know anything more about his arm injury?
I think he just rests it. I don't think he had surgery or anything. I think he just rests it, and he's in the G1. So
that's
Jesus.
fucking mad. I mean, obviously it's fucking. He's got a what's the word I'm looking for? He's got something covering it, hasn't he?
He's got like a support, yeah.
That's it. Thank you. But he didn't really do much. Cody was Cody.
Really shit heels it up, doesn't he, Cody?
He's despised. It's so weird to hear the New Japan fans actually boo someone. Like outright, just we can't fucking stand you. And I take it that's good heel heat. He's not like, because again you have to ask it in this day and age, is this X-Pac heat or is this actual heat?
No, it's good. It's good heat. It's good heat.
Fair fucks to him. He's come leaps and bounds again. He's one of the most talked about guys in all of wrestling at the moment. And he's got that shit-eating grin and just everything about him is just fucking reprehensible in terms of what he's done in the last few months.
Yeah, no, this match was fine for its purpose. I mean, Liger's 53 years old.
Oh no! Well, I thought he was hanging up his boots last year, and yet here he is taking one for the team in another match. I thought he was done, but he's still wrestling. I take he's not in G1 this year, obviously.
Who?
Liger.
No, he doesn't do G1. He's a junior.
Didn't he do it last year though? But he lost every.
No, he lost every match in the Battle of Super Juniors last year.
That's it. Sorry, yeah, no, that's right. I remember and then he went to. I want to say he went to Rev Pro and won their mini tournament.
Oh, he won the British J Cup. Yeah, I was
that's
there.
It.
That was great.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. But I'll keep it short and sweet. I wanted to see Ray and Marty have a match after watching this match, but everything else about it was total filler.
Well, I've seen Ray and Marty have a match at another Rev Pro show.
Well, I want to see. Well, I'm sorry that we're fucking. One of us has already been spoiled. I would like.
I think they should do that at that Cow Palace show, but we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So Cody, Hangman, Page, and Scurll win. So was it Crossroads on Liger? Wasn't it? 11 minutes 35 seconds. Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah. Now we get into the heavy shit. So. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, Will Ospreay against the Super Junior winner this year, Hiromu Takahashi. This was great.
Jesus Christ. It's hard to kind of describe it because obviously Meltzer kind of summarized it where he said, like, with Ospreay, enjoy it while it lasts. And it's like, part of me is like, oh, this guy's going to end up fucking killing himself and he's going to be knackered in like 5 years' time. But it's like, Jesus Christ, he's like one of the best wrestlers in the world at the moment.
And this match actually, from the pair of them, was fairly safe when you consider some of the fucking stuff they've done with in other matches
I was
quite
going to
recently
say
as well.
yes, absolutely right. It was kind of strange. Obviously, you had the senton from the entrance ramp, which was
Hmm.
spectacular. But
That
a
was
lot of it,
amazing, yeah.
I don't know, it's fucking the run up and stuff to it. But yeah, no, I agree. It was a bit more held back, but it's still the way I put it, it had great fluidity and awesome spots.
Yeah, you know you know, so obviously they exposed the concrete early on, but
Hmm.
then in true wrestling tropes, the actual spot isn't until the end of the
Yeah, you
match.
forget about it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you know that sunset flip, he actually misses the concrete, but you know he's supposed to get power bombed onto the concrete, right?
Yeah,
So thank fuck that didn't happen. Yeah, I mean it's hard to go spot by spot. I mean you can't really just because how these blokes work. As you said, it's fluid, it's smooth, it's fantastic. They've got
it's
great
fucking
chemistry.
quick as well as the other thing. This is what you want from junior heavyweight or cruiserweight matches.
Yeah, it's just the selling's good, the offense is good, storytelling's pretty good. Hiromu's obviously got this time bomb gimmick, and he plays like a bit of a nutter.
He's insane, and he's so charismatic. He's similar to Shinsuke.
Yeah, I agree. He actually he reminds me of like I mean, in 5 years' time, he'll be Naito. You know, that's what I think. Well, that's what his future is. He'll be the kind of wrestler that Naito is now. He'll just have that fucking everyone loves him. He's cool. He's a bit of a maniac. He's
I
just
mean,
got
everyone
that
loves him there. It's just will they send him to that next level? Whereas Naito is, fucking probably the third biggest name in that company at the moment.
on the cusp. Yeah.
He's close, but again, this was a fantastic showcase between these two. It's no other way of saying it. And Osprey called him a little cunt during it, which was hilarious.
Oh my god.
You little cunt!
Is I've got it. Where's I've got it. My note here. Hang on.
Yeah,
What is
go on,
it?
just you got to explain it. It's where he's having a little thing, and he actually, I had to watch it twice because it just made me cack it laughing. Because it's like if me and you were wrestling, it's like this is why we can't do it because we'd probably just start swearing at people.
But there's the bit. Is it in the corner when he
That's
slaps him?
it.
He's like, "Fuck you, you fucking cunt." That's it. That's very. I've just got it in my notes. It's just like shotgun dropkick from Hiromu off the apron. Osprey's got him in the corner. Osprey just called him Hiromu a little cunt. What?
Yeah, it's like in Bruges.
Followed by a Sasuke special from Osprey to the outside. Yeah,
Oh,
it's just a joy watching these two. It
oh no,
really
yeah.
is.
I want to see. I hope Osprey has a very long career. It's just. I can't. It's even me fucking speechless. I just want to keep watching him wrestle because he's that good. Same with Takahashi for that matter. These
I
both.
suppose, yeah, I suppose he is prone to falling on his neck quite a lot.
Mm,
And that one against Marty, remember when he lands on his head on the
yeah, I
apron
know.
against
It's like
Marty at Sakura?
everyone's fucking yeah.
Well, apparently that injury was that he was told that he was like, you know, like those stories where you hear, oh, you were an inch away from being fucking paralyzed, you know, and
Did he have the thing where he went back to his hotel room and he like lost fucking feeling for hours?
yeah, he
Yeah,
lost feeling on the whole side of his body for like
that's it.
3 hours.
Yeah,
And then what did he do? He went and wrestled 11 times at New Orleans because he's a work. You know, oh, he's a fucking worker. I mean, Jesus.
I don't know. I just don't want him to be like fucking dynamite. That's the thing you always want to avoid with fucking careers.
No, yeah. Well, I think there's a move up to heavyweight is in his future, and I think that would actually do him quite good in terms
I
of that.
agree. Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this match was just great. Some absolutely wonderful spots. There was loads of reverse hurricanranas, which always is a spot that always looks shit, but doesn't. Does that make sense? You know, like it always looks like it's too much effort to make it look good, but these two made it look good.
I sort of agree. I'm more of the it's repetitious as such,
Oh
not
yeah,
something
yeah, of
with the
course.
fucking hurricanranas there. But I don't. All of wrestling involves people having to be assisted with moves. Otherwise, then it would just be shoot fighting. So it doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, and there was only one horrible spot. You know when Osprey to break the triangle basically dumps him on his head.
Yeah, that's right. Fucking spiked him.
but he tucked his chin just enough. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one minor point.
yeah, it was wonderful, and yeah. So as mentioned, Hiromu Takahashi did win the junior heavyweight title from Will Ospreay. He hits a time bomb and gets the pinfall victory at 20 minutes 20 seconds. It was 20 minutes 20 seconds. I mean, just saying that now, it didn't feel like that. It just felt like it went very
It fucking
quickly.
flew by, didn't it? It's so good when wrestling's good because time just fucking blitzes through.
It was great. It was excellent. Probably the second best match on the card, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. And in any other universe, this would probably be a contender, and unfortunately, it just has to share with the main event.
Oh god, yeah. That means Hiromu, I think that's his second reign with the junior heavyweight title, and it means that he is reunited with Mr. Belto, or Beltsan, because he names everyone.
Right.
He's Battle of the Super Junior. Sorry, Best of the Super Juniors. I'm getting mixed up with Battle of Los Angeles. His Best of the Super Juniors trophy is called Mr. Trophy, I do believe.
As you do.
And he's obviously got Daryl, the cat, who has a wife and son now.
It's a very new day of him.
It is, but not in a really annoying fuck off kind of way.
Overbearing, fuck off. Nah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. Wonderful match, and it's followed by another whopper, I suppose. IWGP Intercontinental Title, Tetsuya Naito against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, or Chris Swearico, as he's becoming.
Come on, baby.
Fucking hell, he loves swearing. I mean, I love swearing.
I've missed arsehole Jericho.
I've missed
his greatest Royal Rumble appearance was like, oh god, drinking in, man, all that shit, and then he's back. He's like, yeah, just unhinged. He's a great character.
Yeah, I mean, I've just my notes start for this match of Jericho in Japan again. What wonders await us? So, yeah, I mean, I loved that they did the video package for this, and the video package was amazing. Yeah, they're really missing a trick by not just sticking English subtitles on these video packages. I
know, fuck's sake, they put Japanese subtitles on as if to mock us. It's like, oh, fuck's sake, guys.
Thing is, it's wrestling, right? And wrestling is easy to understand in any language. So you can kind of get the gist of what they're saying. So when Naito's doing Japanese, you can kind of get what he's saying. He's saying, oh, Jericho loves the camera, but Jericho's an asshole. And obviously Jericho's speaking English, but yeah, would it kill them? Would it kill them to do? I know they're adding more and more shows with English commentary. So, for example, the G1 this year,
they even had a translator, didn't they, as well? The booth.
They do, yeah. That's new or newish, which is really good. That's a good start. They just need to add a subtitle fucking track to these packages.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe with the expansion, obviously they might look into it more if they want more Western audiences to watch. But again, it was, as you say, it's very easy to grasp. Jericho is a massive arsehole, and Naito's hit the beat him up because of it.
But he's so good as an arsehole.
It literally is. If Suzuki is wrestling's final villain and most dangerous man, then Jericho is wrestling's biggest arsehole, and he must be stopped.
You see what happens, Naito? You fuck. Get your hands off me, you fuck.
He's literally just a rock star. He rolls in whenever he feels like, causes fucking mayhem. He beats up Red Shoes, as he always does.
And Red Shoes' son.
Yeah, doesn't give a fuck. He's basically what would happen if like the WWE Attitude Era was embodied in one person and they rolled into New Japan today and just caused mayhem. And you just want to see him get fucked over because he's like out of place. But he's entertaining.
Oh, it's so entertaining. I mean, he got a lot of stick for his entrance. Like he's got the kind of like a slight white face with the Clockwork Orange style and the eyes. I quite liked it.
I thought it was good. I thought it was just makeup.
I thought he looked more like someone at a Kiss than Clockwork Orange, but yeah.
I thought it was Clockwork Orange is with the extended eyelashes, isn't it?
And top hat and all that, yeah.
And top hat.
Yeah. Well, not top hat, the bowler hat.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing this again because remember last time I came up with a fucking what did Omega come dressed as, and I was like fucking so off the mark. It was like in a different universe. I don't know what reference it is.
And Naito obviously comes out in his white suit and his cool mask, but shenanigans. Jericho attacks Naito during his entrance, and we basically get a very violent very violent walk and brawl,
Yeah.
and some in crowd fighting where Jericho. I don't. I'm assuming in New Japan they basically just sit there and they plan a match out, and it's just like, right, I want you to smack me really hard with this, and obviously they're not trying to harm each other because it's pro wrestling, and the thing about pro wrestling is always protect your opponent and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
But I mean, they fucking smash the shit out of each other. He really, really attacks Naito, and it's just smash it. Like he beats him up in the crowd. He does a suplex to the exposed floor. He goes and gets a tripod from the cameraman and hits him with the tripod.
That's right.
He gets the table. He power bombs him through a table, a Japanese table as well, and they're not gimmick tables. They're
They're not
actual
made out of
tables.
MDF and break usually. There's like fucking fault with smashing someone through it. These are like
Yeah.
legit tables.
So the bell hasn't rang yet, and Naito's gone through a table. That's when Jericho started mocking. He did it again against Omega as well when he starts going Naito,
Yeah,
ha,
no.
Kini. And again, I've put here heel Jericho in Japan is the best Jericho.
Yeah, his current incarnation is so fucking memorable. He's just an
Yeah,
arsehole. It's the only way to describe him. He's literally an arsehole.
yeah. He DDTs. He tries to DDT him through another table, but this table does perform like a Japanese table. Doesn't break. This is when Don Callis was really referencing WWE quite a lot, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, they just keeps mentioning WWE and he's won this title in WWE. He just
Well, it's
mentions
kind of
quite a
hard
bit.
not to. I mean, fucking hell, he's made most of his career for the past 20 years in that organisation.
I know, I agree. So the match hasn't even started yet. Get in the ring, bell goes. There's lion salts, backbreakers. He's still absolutely hammering Naito. Uh, Naito gets to the ropes on the walls of Jericho, and then that's when Defiant Naito kicks in, starts spitting at Jericho, makes his comeback, finally takes his suit off, so we start getting this match is going. Did you notice that every time Naito started using heel tactics, the crowd actually booed him?
Yes, I made a similar observation last time at Dominion. Crowds do react not, negatively if their faces are actually doing heel shit, which is quite funny, really, because Money in the Bank, something else happens with another wrestler.
Yeah,
But
because it's kind of like if this was early 2000s or late 90s WWF, it would be JR going, he's doing what he's gotta do to win the match. He's taking it to him, Whereas these guys are here to see Tweener Naito in a face roll, and when he starts healing it up, they're like, oh, actually, no, oh, boo, boo.
I was gonna say Russo would lose his fucking mind. It's like, bro, everyone's a shade of grey, and in Japan, it's like, no, everyone's black or white. It's like,
Yeah,
how am I supposed to work with that? It's like, no, you've got to think that your faces have got to persevere and get through it. They have little arcs as such.
mm.
But it's just a little observation from the New Japan crowd. It is quite funny though. They want their faces to be clean cut.
We have another table spot. This time, Naito does a pole driver to Jericho. A lot safer than the one he did to Omega at
I
the
was literally
G1
about
last
to,
year.
yeah, I was literally about to say the comparison where fucking no, was that the one they were debating that it was made
Did they
that
mean
way.
it or not?
They
Yeah,
meant to do that. It's like I don't know. I don't think anyone would risk that.
I think the answer of that was that they didn't. So
No. I think only very hardcore fans were like, yeah, he meant to do it like that. I was like, I don't think anyone tries to make it look like he nearly necked him.
yeah, this is when we started. They there was a moment when they missed the spot actually, and for about 5 seconds they didn't know. They looked like they didn't know what to do, and obviously Jericho just grabs him and they get back on track.
I wonder if it's similar to Western wrestling, where by tradition, most experienced person or the heel is supposed to lead the match, which in this case would be Jericho. So I imagine he would be doing that. Obviously, Naito's got enough experience himself, but
I'd imagine that Jericho would be leading, but yeah.
yeah,
There was a Hurricanrana, Spike DDT from Naito. Jericho kicks out close to Destino. Jericho does the old grabbing the rope at 2 3/4, gets another code breaker for a near fall. Then the finish, Destino attempts, Jericho reverses, pushes the ref out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute, what was the order? So Destino attempt, low blow from Jericho, he pushes the ref, hits another code breaker, and then gets the free. So then Chris Jericho wins the IWGP Intercontinental title.
What a shocker.
I said, I'm not going to say I predicted this, but I did say to you that if Jericho's got a bit more of a future in him in New Japan, so if there's like another match or two in him, then really he needed to win. For me, just as for me, and I think the Japanese crowd wouldn't react to him the way that they'd want him to if he just kept turning up and losing. So him winning this title is interesting, but also it does kind of add to the fact that Naito doesn't really need this belt, and I was still a bit strange that they put it back on Naito.
Yeah, I agree. It seems very because obviously he's just come like straight from Wrestle Kingdom, where he was in the main event and probably has unfinished business in the main title scene, and yet he was given this almost as if like a reward as such.
Maybe, I mean, remember it's a belt that he famously destroyed.
Literally was about to say this time last year I was raving about his match with Tanahashi and the archives going into that, and here it's so weird. Like a year later, he's still Intercontinental Champion, but now he's like done a complete 180, and he's like not revering the belt, but he's not certainly smashing it down and stuff.
Yeah, he did leave it on the stage during his entrance, didn't he? So he's showing a bit of disrespect, but not the same level.
No, didn't toss it in the fucking floor, for example.
Yeah. So yeah, Jericho wins via pinfall, codebreaker, 17 minutes 16 seconds, and he then attacks Naito some more after the bell, hits him with the belts, then he whips him with his actual belt, and then Evil comes in and they have a bit of a fight. So technically, in New Japan booking, that means that Evil will be up next against Jericho. But according to Meltzer, he's not going to be at the Cow Palace. He himself has said that he won't wrestle for New Japan in America, so that puts a kibosh on that. And then Meltzer said that he probably isn't going to be in New Japan for a very long time. So,
is he just working people though? Because he said at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously, he said at the end of the Omega match, he's like, I'm done coming to New Japan. And it's like, but he was obviously working a program, so it's a bit hard to tell with Jericho. I think he'll be back sooner than, obviously he's got his little cruise taking place soon. I reckon he'll be back. I can understand why he wouldn't want to wrestle in America, because obviously he still wants to keep his bridges with WWE. But I think he'll be back. Not, sooner rather than later as such.
Well, that leads us to the main events of Dominion, and quite possibly the main event of our wrestling watching lives.
I was about to say life. Main event of life itself.
Kazuchika Okada defends his IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kenny Omega. 2 out of 3 full match with no time limit. This is the 4th encounter in their feud.
Is it full? Yeah. Is it 4th or 5th? Because then they meet in. I'm going to show myself up now. There's Dominion last year.
So Wrestle Kingdom, Okada, Dominion draw, G1 Kenny.
Yep, you're right. Apologise. Yep.
These are the 2 best wrestlers in the world, which I think is undebatable.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this last year with our best of awards. Yeah, I put Omega as my most important guy of the year last year, MVP, and you put Okada.
Yeah. So just to put some flavour into obviously this match. So those 3 matches we just mentioned, one was a 6-star, one was a
6.25?
6.2, 6.25 at Dominion, I believe, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the G1 I think the G1 was a simple 5-star match. I could be wrong.
Oh,
but
5.
I'm pretty sure it was
no.
5 stars.
Fucking standards. They've got to really work their magic in this match to bring the standards back up.
So Oh God, I mean, I don't even know how you'd start with this. I'll just come out and point blank say it. I think it's the best match I've ever seen.
Yep.
I couldn't help but I didn't watch the event live, so before I watched it, I tried my hardest not to do spoilers, but I ended up seeing something. I was stupid enough to open Twitter, and then I saw a GIF, and I saw a GIF, and there you go. It's spoiled. But even
I was
knowing,
going to say Corey Graves spoiled it for me, where he was tweeting about. I think he was tweeting about Omega,
mm,
and he said, "I'd like to congratulate Omega with his new hardware." I was like, "Oh, fuck's sake, Corey! One strike. That's all. One strike. I did all my muted words and everything. Completely fucking unavoidable." But
I knew the result of this match, but it still completely had me. You
yeah,
know, I still watched it like 10-year-old Reese watched matches like at the edge of my seat every near fall, going, "Oh my god!" Um, that's the one thing I love about wrestling. Sometimes is that it just no matter how old you get, if you get the right match and the right wrestlers, they just get you. They have you in the palm of their hands, and this match is just a great example of that. They just completely had me. And that's the thing going into this match. You expect them 2 out of 3 falls with no time limit. You just think to yourself, "Fuck, this is going to be amazing." But how could it be? How could it surpass 6 and 6.25? How could it surpass the Dominion match last year where they killed each other for an hour? And they've managed to do it. They've managed to have a free fall match which told 3 stories essentially, all with all similar, but 3 stories. It's Okada takes the first fall, and then it's, oh my god, Omega has to be the first person to beat Okada in a championship match twice in one night, and he does. He gets that first fall with that he hits the one wing angel, and obviously no one's kicked out of a one wing angel as far as I'm aware, and it's one of the most protected moves in wrestling right now.
mm-hmm.
So he hits it, and then they have this 2 minute, like we talked about earlier about the way they sell that it's like a proper sport with a shoot element. They have 2 minute break in between each fall,
Mm-hmm.
and after he hits the one wing angel, Gedo's sitting there trying to wake up Okada because, oh my god, Okada might not even answer the bell for the final fall, and you're kind of thinking, oh my god, and then obviously he does, and there's times when you think that he's got it in the bag and he's going to retain. And the story is, can Kenny beat one of the greatest world championship title runs in the history of wrestling? One of. Don't want to annoy someone like fucking Bix and Ban who's going to fucking say, oh, but the 1940, when someone had the belt for 25 years, it's one of the greatest world heavyweight title runs in wrestling history. Can Omega do it? Can Omega do it? And fuck that, it's just that it was just amazing. He hits so many V triggers in this match, but there was that one V trigger he hits at the end when Okada goes for a Rainmaker, and I love the way that Okada uses the Rainmaker to sell just how battered he is, because obviously
Mm-hmm.
a Rainmaker is that kind of short burst of energy, and when
It's a
he's
short lariat,
yeah
but he knocks
mm,
himself down when he's doing it. And then it's like, he can't make the fucking pinfall, even though he's locked his wrist. He's literally fell over to knock him down.
yeah, and it's kind of like he goes for it, and it gets reversed into a really weak looking one way angel,
Mm-hmm.
but so weak that Kenny doesn't even go for a pinfall. And you're an hour and 6 minutes, whatever it is, and he hits his V trigger, and he's hit about 45 V triggers already.
If this
But
was
he hits,
Brock, we'd be screaming about this. And he's hit 45 German suplexes.
but he hits this V trigger, and it's so huge. I mean, it's just fucking massive. And then he picks him up, one wing angel, 1, 2, 3, and he wins the belt. He wins 2-1. I mean, it's an hour and 5 minutes this match, and a lot of people thought it was going to go 90 minutes. Thank God it didn't, because I think they'd kill each other.
I was going to say, because the first fall was about 40 minutes, I wanted to say.
So, where is it? I've got it here. Okay, maybe I don't. No, it was 1-1 at 50 minutes. It was 1-1.
50 minutes? Oh, right. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
that's
hang
including
on.
the second fall.
Hang on, let me see. I did have it. I thought I put timings down, but I haven't. I think the second fall was 17 minutes. I think it might have been like 30 something minutes.
Okay. Because the first fall, it was like Omega was completely in charge, but Okada managed to get the pinfall regardless.
Mm. Yeah.
And it was like, obviously the second fall you've got, well, Omega now has to fucking win, otherwise it's like 2-0. And Okada's got all the momentum in the world, and he actually is in full control for that second fall, but Omega still manages to win regardless. And then he carries up momentum through to that final fall. And as you point out, it's that final V trigger. It's like even the crowd's like, "That's fucking it.
You
It's
know
just
what?
happening. It's
I
happening."
forgot. I did forget to say that because I've got it in my notes here. So he hits that like kind of loose, weaker one wing angel as a reversal. Then when he starts when like so Okada's on the ropes because they do that spot, don't they, where they're both leaning up against the bottom rope and they're just both dead, and then obviously Kenny gets up and he hits this. He's like he does his whole thing where he like points at him just before he hits this V trigger. That's when you hear the Japanese crowd have always got that thing where they know. Well, I always get the impression they know they know we're about to go into the sequence, and it kind of you hear that kind of like high pitched
Momentum shift. Yeah.
yeah, you hear that high pitch, and it's like you hear the rumble, and he hits this V trigger, and then he hits the one wing angel, and he got a massive pop as well.
Yeah, because he's fucking loved out there, isn't he? He's like literally the second most popular. Is Omega more popular than Okada in Japan, or
No, I don't think so.
he still got like a fucking rapturous reception for winning the
He
belt
did
though.
because I think he's put. I mean, he's the best bout machine. He's put on probably the best matches they've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, maybe. And they're just big on him. Also, he's really into the whole Japanese culture, and not to mention his closest ally is one of the most loved Japanese wrestlers there is in
Yes,
Ibushi.
exactly.
There's one thing as well, actually, from the first fall. So the first fall was a thingy, wasn't it? Was it a cradle? He goes for a rainmaker. Kenny escapes, but he catches him, and it was it not a cradle? But when they is it like a backslide, or he just holds him down? Yeah,
I just said it was a cradle.
yeah, and I liked that because that kind of put in your head that whoa, hang on, surely because they mess with the actual smart fan in you. I think that's them saying, oh, he hasn't even done a rainmaker yet, so is he going to win the second? He'll win the match with a rainmaker.
Yeah,
That
it's like
kind of thing.
to put football analogies. Okada was completely shit in the first fall, but he still won regardless. So what does that make Omega?
Yeah. It was. Oh, that I just love the way they did it, and you know what? It's quite simple. There's nothing really complex about this.
No, there was no fucking. It was like not like I mean, even Osprey and Takahashi held back, but there was no like massive high spots as such. There was no nothing major. It was just literally a well crafted story.
Yeah, I mean they did their they go outside a few times. There's a few dives. There's that bloody when Okada does his crossbody when he runs around the ring and over the guardrail and he gets V triggered. I mean
That's right. Yeah.
that was
Okay, take it
brilliant.
back.
I mean
That was the one thing, the one very
the
impressive.
Rise of the Terminator dive he does is always really good from Kenny. That's always when he gets the crowd to
Yeah, that's
that
right.
thing. That's always great.
Copyright infringement happening.
Well, yeah. Was there? I'm sure there was a table spot, wasn't there?
I can't remember. It sounds really harsh, but this match went on for 70 minutes and so much fucking happened. It is hard to fucking grasp everything, but this is not hyperbole, but this is probably the best wrestling match you'll ever see in your lifetime, and I'll be absolutely shocked if anything tops it. And if it is, it'll be between these two anyway. There's no other way of really fucking putting it.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got out of it as well.
It's never going to be topped, and if I mean I've never seen Flair and Steamboat. That's the only real comparison you can really have. So, and I imagine it'd be one of those matches where you know what OSW always says, like we'll probably watch it and it's like it'll probably be shit, but it's like a product of its time. But it was just like it was probably the most well crafted story in a wrestling match ever, and it was just 70 minutes of just pure entertainment. And the result was just, I was very happy to see Omega win. I thought Okada would win because I thought that would put a bow in it and Okada's title reign will just go down as this legendary 2 or 3 year thing where
Yeah, I did.
he'll beat everyone.
It's the right time to beat him,
It
though. I
was, yeah.
think.
Even the story, I mean, it looks dead obvious now because it was like, it reminded me of, what a terrible comparison, but it has to be made. Do you remember Brett and Sean, the Iron Man match? And they showed like Sean was doing all this fucking super training and Brett was like walking up and down paths, and he
Yeah.
was the champion. And it was kind of like you saw Omega doing the training for this match, and he was like, Jesus, he's like fucking ripped, and he's never looked better in his entire life. And Okada was like, training, but
He's
not.
in ridiculous shape, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. Fucking hell, it's like is he gassed? Is he on the gas? Is he just fucking? Did he discover CrossFit or something? What the fuck happened between him? I mean, he's always been like he's always had a good body, as Meltzer would say. But Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, he was an impressive looking thing in this match. I bet Vince was just rubbing one out if he ever bothered to watch New Japan.
Oh well, it's just good. I was going to bring this up. It's just like you always hear this whole thing about will Omega go to WWE, similar to someone like Zack Sabre Jr. I hope he never ever ever goes there until he's like 40, busted up, right? Had several massive matches that have just made him like gone down as the greatest wrestler of all time. And he goes there for like a huge payday and maybe like a big match, and then he'll eat a pin from someone out of the performance center.
Triple H.
Yeah, or Triple H, and it will be that, but he'll get a ton of money for it, right? That's what I hope for him to do. I hope he spends the peak years, these twilight peak years of his career that we're enjoying at the moment. Same with Okada, and same with other people like Naito and Ibushi, and stay there, and just.
I think Omega will stay. I think the WWE will. I think they'll try and get him and the Young Bucks. I think they'll give him an extortion, propose an extortionate amount of money. But I think, as sad as this is, Omega has got like the world to now wrestle as such in New Japan. He's got the title now, and he's got like the fucking his pick of the litter. He's even got a Okada if he ever wants to go back to that well. Although I imagine these two probably now want a well-deserved breakthrough. But with Omega, I think he'll be sticking in New Japan for the time being. I think it's where he'll be more creatively fulfilled for the time being. He's got loads of opponents to go through. He's well loved out there. He doesn't need the WWE at this point. I mean, it used to be before that you'd never be a megastar until you hit the WWE, but in this day and age with the internet and social media, he's literally one of the biggest names in wrestling, and he's never even stepped foot in Vince's ring at the moment.
You've got a vibrant indie scene in quite a lot of countries, which means there's a lot of big like super indies that pay him good money to go and wrestle there. New Japan have got Ring of Honor,
and Ring of Honor have got Madison Square Garden, Reese.
Oh no, they don't.
Get the fuck out of my building.
But he's got like he's got Ring of Honor, which is slowly, it's probably the number 2 fed in America. Probably, I mean, it is.
It is now because Impact's in Canada. So
yeah, good point. So, and they're doing quite well. They're growing at quite a decent rate, and it's just he's at All In, and there's a lot of talk about what All In could become. I mean, there's Meltzer was saying the other day that he's heard that TV executives are going to go and watch that. So, Christ, New Japan are trying to make a big, like, they're going for an expansion, and obviously him with the belt is proof of the expansion.
I said this last year for MVP. I said I thought Omega they're going to make a big push for him because I think for a global audience, Omega is more valuable as such, and I think now they've pulled the trigger on that.
Yeah.
However long his title reign is, I think it's going to be nowhere near as long as Okada's one. But regardless, in terms of expansion, he's very important. And now the fact that he is now the world champion in there.
Just want to go back. Just want to go back to our Wrestle Kingdom review earlier this year when I did that big spiel about how they do world championship feuds and how they build champions.
Oh yes.
And I remember I used Omega as an example, and I just remember this feud started at Wrestle Kingdom 2 years ago, nearly. It spanned all these matches, and this was the payoff. This was the payoff to this feud for the time being, and it's wonderful. It's not. I mean, this probably isn't a fair comparison, but I'm going to make it anyway because I think it's a good way of showing the difference between, say, WWE booking a feud and New Japan. But but this isn't Nakamura and AJ Styles having 4 matches on pay-per-view in a row and it just doing that and getting really boring. Not that was boring, but we'll get to that at some point. This is match, tell a story. We'll come back to it. And they keep going back to it. It's a build. It's like an 18-month build. And this is what Naito is probably. This is what Naito's in at the moment. Naito's got his one overlapping with this story.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, I thought surely they're now they're going to cross over with each other.
So yeah, the booking of Naito getting this spot that Kenny's got now, this moment. The next one really there is Naito, and how does that happen? And what's Gedo got in his head?
Would you? Because if I remember, you can clarify this. New Japan has never done a triple threat match for the World Championship.
I believe the
Wrestle
only one,
Kingdom?
not a Wrestle Kingdom. I don't think the only one they've done is the one that Brock was in.
Oh God! Well, to do what WWE does, they need to get rid of that record. But for me, the simplistic way of putting it would be Wrestle Kingdom next year: Omega, Okada, Naito, triple threat championship on the line.
Christ, could you imagine that?
That's what I think. That would be my dream match for next year. But obviously, again, it's up to Gedo. But it's the world is the oyster for this world championship with Omega now in it. I think Okada, it's not a case of now they need to fucking rebuild him back up because with all due respect, he's still fucking massive anyway. This is just it feels like it's a fucking blip in his absolutely outstanding career thus far. But I can't wait to see what happens. That's the best bit about it. It's not like a WWE pay-per-views where it's like certain matches happen, you're like, well, it can only get worse.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's like, fuck, I can't wait because you've got fucking G1 that's happening soon. And then that builds up towards Wrestle Kingdom. It's like, what the fuck are they going to go towards? And then you've got all these outside bits as well.
I love how a New Japan Pro Wrestling year is laid out.
Yeah, so do I. It's like a sporting calendar, isn't it? Even though WWE have the same thing.
You start the year with a Wrestle Kingdom, and it's like huge. Then obviously you get a couple of the lower events and stuff like the New Beginning events will set up the next few months of feuds and whatnot. Then you get the New Japan Cup, and that's kind of cool. Obviously Zack Sabre won it, and that was great. But it's not. You don't have to be that involved in it. And obviously that leads to say like a Secure Genesis, which is like a kind of, I suppose you could say, a B pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then you get the Dominion builds, and then you get like Anniversary Show, which is like a C pay-per-view and things like that. And then you get Dominion, which is just the last couple of years has just been this huge fucking show.
Yeah, Jesus. If it wasn't obvious enough, this is like the number 2 show in New Japan, I'd say.
I mean, last year's
G1 is obviously the major thing as well, obviously. But in terms of like one single show, then this is the one you can't really afford to miss, apart from Wrestle Kingdom.
Just for Dominion, you get the Best of the Super Juniors, which is always really good. Then after Dominion, you get a couple months, and then Dominion's June. G1 starts July, I believe.
It's soon.
July, yeah. Christ, then you got the G1, and G1 is an absolute. It's a nightmare, really, because it's kind of you can't miss.
I'd love to watch it, but it's like literally one of those things where the time zones make it impossible if you work, and then it's like you literally can't miss a single thing, because if you miss one thing, you miss a fucking lot, because it's not a single elimination tournament, it's a fucking point system.
But it's like 19 shows, I think.
That's what
that's like 19. If you're a wrestling fan, that's like 19 unmissable shows of great matches. Then you've got that weekend. Then you've got that weekend where it's the Block A finals on the Friday, Block B on the Saturday, and then the G1 final night on the Sunday. And that's just mega. And that's at the Budokan as well, which is like this historic, amazing venue. And you get your winner. Then you get things, then you get like King of Pro Wrestling. Then you get the Tag League. To be honest with you, the Tag League doesn't interest me whatsoever, but it's that kind of lull before Wrestle Kingdom. And then you start all over again. It's just this... I love the format. It's kind of like the tournament format, which
was gonna say it's so funny because WWE had one tournament which was major once, which was King of the Ring, which they don't even fucking want to touch anymore now because Vince doesn't like tournaments.
Yeah,
But because New Japan portrays professional wrestling as an actual sport, it makes more sense for them to have these type of formats. Whereas WWE, I mean, I love the WWE's system of you start a year off with the Royal Rumble, which leads to the end of the financial year, which means WrestleMania, and then you build towards Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and then it used to be build towards Survivor Series with all these hints towards what would be next year's WrestleMania, but because there's now such a big lull and Survivor Series means nothing, you've got this like fucking 8 month gap of bollock. All
yeah. I'm getting. I mean, New Japan is that's my thing now. Japanese. This. I love WWE, but
the New Japan is currently the most consistently entertaining wrestling product out there, bar
yeah,
none. Only NXT comes remotely close, and that's more to do with production value and consistency
and I
and
don't think
availability,
NXT is
obviously. Because
far
obviously,
off.
yeah, but obviously you got PWG, which I just don't watch because of availability. Impact, I haven't watched for fucking years. Ring of Honor, again, similar things. And then you got all the British indie scenes, which the way it's going, it sounds like they're going to become feeder systems for NXT UK. But
Well, just on Progress and ICW are at the moment.
yeah, but we'll cover that. But regardless, I was going to say the end of this match as well. We completely forgot about it because we got sidetracked. The Bucks coming out,
Oh
and
yeah, so they're friends. Golden Elite. They had the t-shirts printed already.
oh really? Ah, is it good?
They were wearing them. They get them out after the press conference.
I didn't
It's
see it
the
again. I
gold.
didn't see fucking press conference because I heard Omega's promos. One in
Yeah.
Japanese and one in English, which were both great. Even more insane the fact that you had to fucking wrestle 70 minutes prior. Can you imagine if they got got Brock? You got to cut a promo. Oh, so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's basically the the elite logo, gold with the word golden on it. So the
Is it black?
golden
Is the
elite.
t-shirt black?
They're all black.
Oh, fuck's sake, wrestlers! There's so many other colours on the spectrum. Why do all your t-shirts have to be fucking black?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it's easier to do white designs, aren't they? Who knows?
Why not invert it? Oh, well, another discussion. This has gone on long enough. This show.
And just you said that. So Kenny and the Young Bucks have reconciled. So the Elite are back together. Obviously, he's in the Golden Lovers. So we have got probably the best faction on the planet in Omega, Ibushi, and the Young Bucks, making up the Golden Elite. And then 1980s teenage ski movie villain Cody comes out. He feigns interest in getting in the ring, but then walks away. So obviously, Cody got a win on Omega in Ring of Honor.
mm-hmm.
So, and it has been booked. It's Cody against Kenny Omega at the Cow Palace for the title.
Is it really for the actual title? Because I thought,
It is indeed.
fucking hell. Well, fingers crossed Omega will retain.
Oh, he will. Don't be
They'd be
silly.
insane. But then again, you hear that heel heat and you're like, ooh, the chase. I'm putting my Vince logic, the chase, Ruth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually thought this review would be a bit shorter because of the
So
amount
did
of
I.
filler. But
Fucking
Christ, there you go. Another great show. I'm looking forward to the G1. We'll probably do what we usually do, and I'll just tell you the results of the G1 and tell you how it's going. And any of the huge matches, I'll just force you to watch it somehow.
Yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. I'm sorry, I just don't have enough annual leave to cover the entire.
Block B has Omega and Ibushi in the same block, so we're going to get a Golden Lovers friendly match in the G1. Golden Lovers explode.
It's a shame they don't have a lady to argue over like Hogan and Macho did.
That was WrestleMania 5, right?
Yes, Mega Powers explode.
Yeah, so Christ, that's Dominion. That was about a week and a half ago now, so we are a bit late on this, but
Life, the universe, and everything gets in the way.
yeah, and we're cool. We don't need to rush our things out. So
you can go to our Patreon account, buy our t-shirts. We're at live events. We've got exclusive content on our Patreon. Send your emails.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
let's face it, neither of us have been a wrestler or have pretended.
When has that
to be
fucking
a
stopped
wrestler.
anyone from talking about wrestling? It's such a stupid logic. Remember when Meltzer fucking destroyed Corbin with his logic?
I'm not saying that that's thing. I'm just saying that in the most saturated podcasting sector in the world, it does help if at least one of us has taken a bump.
That's true. That's all right. I'll jump through my coffee table in this room. And anyway, Dominion is a great show. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It is superb from beginning to end. But the final 3 matches and the Bucks match are outstanding. And the main event itself is probably the greatest professional wrestling match in history.
Just to say, so Meltzer gave it 7 stars. Do you? I mean, we're not. We're quite. I mean, we're quite pro.
People
we're
going
quite
apeshit
pro
over
Dave.
his. Yeah.
Of course they are, but when we're quite pro Dave, so we're not going to criticize him for his opinion because it's his opinion.
Yeah.
Why don't people understand that? Anyway, when I saw gave it 7 stars, it felt right to me.
It just made me chuckle because I always think of fucking Spinal Tap, goes up to 11. And I'm like, well, it goes up to 12 in this case. This match is a 12.
Yeah.
So again, I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm completely hypocritical because it's like, how can you give numeric scores to wrestling? But then again, I give numeric scores to fucking music albums, and people would be like, well, music is subjective, so how the fuck can you give it a numeric score? And how can anything be truly perfect? And yet Dave has gone above and beyond to say, well, this is super perfect because it's broke the scale. But I think people that get worked up over it, it's the most funny thing ever. And Dave's absolutely right to keep fucking doing it because that's going to pay the bills. But it's the best way to showcase this match is completely outstanding compared to normal matches.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with his sentiment. I don't understand why people would go apeshit over fucking stars. He could have said it's all the stars in the universe, and I think that would have been as fucking, people would have been frothing at the mouth over it.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Right, let's bring this episode to an end.
Yes, stay tuned. We've got Takeover and Money in the Bank. And obviously send your emails to Reese because he reads them all the time.
smarkswithattitude@gmail.com. You can also, the most barren Twitter handle in the world, it's SWA_podcast. You can get us there. And soundcloud.com/smarkswithattitude, where, it'll pretty much just be this episode and shortly
the
next day or so, the other one. So there you go.
Well, subscribe to iTunes as well. Make sure as well.
Oh yeah, iTunes. We're on iTunes. You can subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you can refresh it because we are not going to pay for fucking SoundCloud currently.
It does refresh itself. It's fine. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for listening and toodaloo.
Thank you guys. See you in a second.